I am about to show you a clip. And by the way, this is one of the more recent news clips of a scandal that is happening in Illinois right now. Now, I'm not hearing it on too many channels, so I thought I would bring this to your attention. There is News Station 5, NBC News Station 5, up in Chicago area, did an investigation. There were teachers and administrators of the Chicago public school system that were fired for grooming, and you'll hear what one of the principals did. There may have been other instances. I am too sickened by all of this to dig that far into it. It really is that bad. So these teachers and administrators that were fired from the Chicago public school system were then taken over and hired by the Elgin school system, the Elgin Area School District U46 in Kane County, Illinois. They were hired to teach more students. What they're teaching them, you can only imagine. And you're going to hear it in this clip. It's a 5-minute sickening video. So let's let you hear it first.
Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself.
Elgin Schools has removed a third teacher from the classroom and placed him on leave in the wake of an NBC5 Investigates report.
All this week, we have shared with you our series Lessons in Betrayal, which detailed allegations from former students of grooming and teacher misconduct, all tied to one Chicago public school. And our reporting uncovered how at least 3 of the educators who resigned from CPS amid misconduct allegations were later hired by Elgin Schools, raising questions about information sharing and background checks. Investigative reporter Bennett Haberly is back with an update for us already on this story. Bennett?
Yes, we reached out to Elgin Schools this morning with questions, and they confirmed to us that they removed teacher Michael Abeja while they conduct an internal review. NBC5 Investigates first reported earlier this week that Abeja is one of 7 teachers who left Chicago public schools and are now facing misconduct allegations. In this case, CPS found the allegations he groomed a student were substantiated. On his website, Michael Abeja identifies himself as an art educator, photographer, designer, muralist, and cinematographer. He lists his professional experience, including teaching at Larkin High School in Elgin and his previous job working here at Infinity, one of 4 schools that make up the Little Village Lawndale High School campus. What's not listed on his website is this: Chicago Public Schools disciplinary records that show he was pulled from the classroom in June of 2021 amid misconduct allegations. He was later placed on a temporary do not hire list pending an internal investigation in August of 2021. That's the same month he was hired to be a teacher in Elgin. 3 years later, October of 2024, CPS's Office of Inspector General completed its investigation, where they found sufficient evidence that he groomed an Infinity student for the purpose of committing sexual abuse. The report notes that there are no allegations or evidence that the student and Abeja had any physical contact, but the OIG found other students reported feeling uncomfortable with comments he made on their Instagram posts, and that Abeja had been communicating with the student frequently, inviting them to his home on nighttime walks and commenting on their physical appearance. The report also states he sent memes and messages to a student, including a photo of a cat with the caption, "Goodnight kisses." The OIG concluded Abeja's messages depict classic grooming behaviors. He is one of 7 teachers or administrators who've resigned or been fired from Little Village since 2017. Did you tell the Office of Inspector General your story?
I did mention to her that Abeja has reached out to me a lot of times. I don't reply, but he still ends up messaging me, sending me reels that are weird.
This student we'll call Michelle says she received messages from Habea. She's also the student we previously reported had a sexual encounter with the former Infinity principal Charles Smith weeks after she graduated. Smith was pulled from his position at Little Village in February of 2023 and placed on a temporary do not hire list that summer, a month before being hired by Elgin Schools. On his application, he was asked if he resigned while a sexual misconduct investigation was pending. He marked no. His attorney has previously said that Smith vehemently denies any allegations, has cooperated with the OIG's investigation, and will be cleared of wrongdoing. Elgin notified us that Abeja, Smith, and music teacher Hans Kruger were all placed on administrative leave, pending an internal review, including reaching out to Chicago Public Schools and state law enforcement authorities in wake of our reporting. And we called a number associated with Abeja. The man who answered hung up. Our reporting raises questions about the timing of these investigations and the information that's being shared between the districts. There is conflict in what they're telling us. Elgin says they did conduct background checks, that CPS told them that Charles Smith was eligible for rehire around July 20th, 2023. But district records show that wasn't the case. Smith had already been placed on a temporary do not hire list weeks earlier while an investigation was pending. Elgin also hired Abeja after he had been suspended by CPS, but he wasn't placed on a temporary do not hire list until a week after Elgin had hired him. Again, a little bit of conflict here in what CPS is telling us. They're saying that they have a record from Elgin requesting documentation on Charles Smith. Elgin says they did send a request. So you've got a little bit of back and forth there.
But as you talked about earlier, you have to ask for this information. This isn't readily available, right?
Right. Districts do send the information to the State Board of Education when a teacher's permanently barred from working in a district. But they're saying if you want the information directly on pending investigations, you need to reach out.
You got to ask.
Right.
And what if you don't know to ask for it?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bennett. And we want to encourage everyone to watch the three-part series, Lesson in Betrayal, on our website, NBCChicago.com, and on the NBC Chicago app. Just search Investigates. There's also an expert on there talking about what parents can do and what we should be talking to our kids about when it comes to this type of thing.
Some important conversations there.
So you heard all of that. Now, I have to say, NBC News 5 in the Chicago area, you folks get both ears and the tail on this one. Wow. This is disgusting, but I'm glad that somebody found this out. I really am. I am glad that there are local news channels in this country that are doing their job. But how is this happening? Well, I mean, you can imagine, I mean, you keep hearing about these stories, so it's not like it's unusual. It's not like we don't know that this is what is happening around the country, but it's still sickening. As a parent, I'm sickened by this. Sorry. I should have scripted this, but I saw this and I'm just like, who allows this? How are they not checking these teachers? They keep saying, oh, we need more teachers. Okay, fine. But there comes a point where you need to make sure of who you're hiring because kids do not deserve this. These kids are going to be coming out of these school systems. Well, we've already got an epidemic of students, and I've seen multiple videos of this, of teachers talking about these kids not being able to read. There was a college student who was accepted by an Ivy League school. She was functionally illiterate. But this is what the teachers are doing. They're doing this woke Democrat propaganda in the schools, and they're they're grooming these students as well. So I'm going to call it out. And I want to thank NBC News 5 for covering this. You can Seriously, you can look it all up on their channel. I would do a YouTube search. You will find a lot of information. It is that sick. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. So, folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff if you don't mind. Help me out. So, y'all have a good day now. Bye.